Hey there, Ahar here, and today we are making a video on audio cues. So for all the M plus pushers, you guys have probably experienced this before, where you have 10 mob pulls. There's multiple casters, tank buster mobs, things like that, and it gets a little hectic. A lot of the times you might not notice a tank buster going off, or you might not notice a deadly spell going off because there's just too many mobs. So in order to help with that, audio cues will allow you to press a defensive if it's a tank buster. Maybe you didn't track it visually, you can hear it, and then you'll reactionary just press a defensive. The three main ways that I'm going to go over for this video are going to be Plater, Bigwigs, and Weakors. So jumping straight in. On Plater, if you go under Cast Colors and Names, under the search bar, you can type in the dungeon, so Naowh, say for example, or maybe Halls of Infusion. And it takes a bit to load because of it's just filtering through all the spells. Right here, you have a list of all the spells. Whoops. You have a list of all the spells, and you can just take your pick, maybe for the third boss, Kajin the Unyielding. Where is this spell? I think it's like Frost Blast or something. Well, right here we have Ice Shard. Right here, Ice Shard. This is a big tank buster. You can put this on an audio cue, bam, bite, whatever you want. And for the most part, try to keep a system for your sounds. So what I mean by that is, say for example, tank busters, you keep it on one audio cue. For me, it's bite. Other things like important interrupts, you can keep on another one. Fixates, things that you need to stop using disorienting roar. Stuns, knockbacks, things like that, you can keep on a different one. So AoE CCs, generally speaking. Whatever system works for you, you can use. This isn't, just for bears. You can use this as DPS, other types of tanks. You have an AoE stun. You can set that up as well. And then you can also search for individual spells. Say for example, Oiled Blade from the officers in Freehold. And up here, as you can see, you have Oiled Blade, and you can set up the sound, bite, bam, whatever you want. So that's Plater. Very simple. You can go through each dungeon, kind of go through all the spells, and do so accordingly. Now, Bigwigs is a little bit more tricky because sometimes it doesn't have all the spells. I personally like to use Plater because usually speaking it has all the spells for you, but it might be a little bit difficult to filter through them. Now in Bigwigs, under dungeon bosses at the top, you can go through every single dungeon. If you want to find the older dungeon, or like Freehold and things like that, you need to look through the previous expansions. Initially on the drop down menu, it's going to be automatically on the first boss. If you go to trash, you'll see pretty much the more important spells from all the trash mobs. So say for example, Chain Lightning, a very important spell to interrupt. You can put an audio cue on this. Or maybe a tank buster like Jagged Bite from the Crocs. You can, again, go under sound right here and change the alarm to whatever you want as well. And the option up here, usually these things that are tank busters, if you're a DPS player, you can uncheck the tank only, and then that way it'll also play for you as a DPS. Maybe you're a mage with Dragon Breath, or you're an Acid Priest with Fear. You can use those. You're a lot of times you're just looking at your DPS rotation. Maybe you hear the audio cue and then you just instinctively press Fear. This would probably be more of a melee thing, I guess. Maybe if you're like an enhanced shaman with thunderstorm. Yeah, so this is for Bigwigs. Fairly simple. Kind of go through them all. And the reason why I would recommend doing this particular Bigwigs is most of these spells actually already have audio cues on them, but the problem is you probably have them tuned out because they use a lot of a lot of the default bigwig sounds that you'll hear in Raid, you'll hear for different mechanics, and it's not like a set system. You'll hear one mechanic for an interrupt, you'll hear it the same for like a tank buster. They try their best to kind of keep it like a system, but it's obviously not going to be the best. Maybe they're not high end plus pushers, whatever it might be, it's not going to be ideal. So you can come in here, set up the ideal audio cues yourself. And then you can also turn off audio cues for things that you don't find important. Alright, lastly, for weak auras. I don't usually use this, but last tier I did use this on things like Dark Claw, Dragon Flame Spit, just weak auras that you might not necessarily find in bigwigs, and sometimes you might not find in other things. Very rare though. I believe these were in bigwigs, or the targeted flame spit from the last boss in Ruby Light Pools. I believe this was in bigwigs as well as Pliter, but we just had a weak aura for it. And if you come into the actions tab of this weak aura, and you can import this for any spell you like, you can go to play sound, check it, and then change the sound to whatever you like here. Alright, and that is pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.